does not diminish the value of animal foods. True, meat and dairy have their problems. To a lesser extent, eggs have problems. Seafood have problems, mostly because of how we raise them and how we feed them. Antibiotics and hormones and how we take care of our animals. There's big problems associated with meat and animal products. However, when it comes to electrical energy and nutrient density, i.e. nutrient value per unit of food eating, per unit of food that we eat, and the electrical energy, vegetables are not even remotely close to the pure, raw nutritional power, not raw, but pure nutritional power found in animal foods. Sorry, vegetarians. As much as I love my broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and as important as those phytonutrients are, when it comes to nutritional bang for your food buck, veggies can't even touch an egg. A stalk of broccoli can't even begin to come close to the power of an egg, or a glass of raw milk, or a piece of liver. Interestingly, by the way, the most powerful, nutritionally dense, non-animal food when it comes to nutrient density are going to be fungus and mushrooms, which are technically a cross between an animal and a vegetable. So fungus have a certain quality that animal food, a certain animal food or animal nutrient quality that meat may have. That's why you can get vegetarians sometimes will eat portobello mushroom steaks. It almost looks like a steak. It has a beefy quality to it. There's certain nutrients like vitamin D, for example, that are typically animal nutrients that are found in fungus and mushrooms. So if you are a vegetarian, you want to be able to leverage the power of the mushroom. Mushrooms do have some pretty important nutritional, especially for vegetarians, some pretty important nutritional benefits. But when it comes to animal foods, when it comes to understanding the power of eggs and flesh and dairy, we got to go back to our electrical model of food. In terms of the stuff of life, as we move up the food chain, energy becomes more and more concentrated, more electrically dense. Yesterday we talked about the mineral kingdom. This is the most fundamental kingdom on planet Earth, what we call rocks. Now, the electrical nature of minerals is pretty obvious. Some rocks will spontaneously emit electrical energy. We call that radiation, radioactivity. That's what magnetism is all about. So certainly there is an electrical energy associated with rocks. Rocks are capable of generating an electrical charge when they're pressurized, when pressure is applied to them. That's called piezoelectricity, which means pressure electricity. There's other rocks that will emit light. Phosphorus, for example, is a light-emitting rock. Some rocks, like granite and quartz, will have a crystalline nature, crystalline structure, which allows them to store energy and release energy, just like a battery. Still, the electrical nature of rocks is such that the energy is not concentrated enough that they have much nutritional value for animals. You can't eat rocks and get any nutrition, even though rocks, technically speaking, have the minerals we need. Thus, the importance of the plants. Thus the importance of the fungus, by the way, and lichen. Fungus and lichen can also get nourishment from rocks. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Got to take a break. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. All right, we are back on the bright side. Got lines open for you. Excuse me. 844-236-6010 is our number. 844-236-6010. If you have questions about the longevity products or the longevity business or longevity ingredients or skin health ingredients or formulations, or if you have a success story you'd like to share, or if you just want to contribute to our conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number. Hang tight if you're on hold. We'll get to you in just a moment. If you want to purchase any of the longevity products you hear advertised on the program, head over to criticalhealthnews.com. That's my blog that I do with George Norrie. I also have video posts up there, quite a few video posts, interviews and such at criticalhealthnews.com. Thank you to Jonty Collier for setting that one up. Also, you can check out my blog at pharmacistben.com. Thank you to Robert Lundgren for setting that one up. And then benfuchsarchives.com, which is a really cool website that my friend Peter in the UK set up for me. Thank you so much, Peter, for doing that. And, of course, you can also go to brightsideben.com. If you want to purchase any longevity products or sign up to join the Brightside Ben team, 866-735-2470 is the number for the phone team if you want to talk to somebody directly, 866-735-2470. And if you want to purchase any of our skin health products, go to truthtreatments.com. Also want to encourage you to check out my Facebook page, The Truth with Ben. So many of you are friending me or trying to friend me at my personal Facebook page, but that's pretty much filled up, and I know I got a backlog of a couple hundred folks who want to friend me there, but I encourage you to go over to The Truth with Ben. That's my business page, and I blog on on skin health subjects on that Facebook page, The Truth with Ben. Okay, so let's see here. I got some lines open for you. I just want to say a couple more things about vegetation, which is pretty incredible, the humble little vegetable. Not to say that animal foods are not important. They are tremendously valuable. That's because of how energy is concentrated as we move up the kingdom chain. I don't want to say the food chain, but the kingdom chain. Rocks emit energy. Rocks are highly energetic or relatively highly energetic. That's what radioactivity is about. But vegetables are even more energetic. They concentrate the rocks. They, in essence, eat the rocks. And this is why vegetables will rot eventually. Remember, we always say in the world of nutrition, when a food or a nutritional element rots, or when it decays, that's a measurement of its nutritional value. The more it rots, the more it decays. The faster it rots, the faster it decays, the more energy it has. Rocks don't rot. But as you move up the chain, vegetables begin to break down over time because vegetables are higher energy than rocks. That's how you can tell a vegetable has higher energy than rocks, because it will rot over the course of time. It will start to break down over the course of time. But then you go up one step, you go up one more step to the animal kingdom. The animal kingdom even densifies the nutrients even more. Animals are the next step in the food chain up from vegetables, and they really densify the nutrients. And this is why they're so valuable. This is why they're so nourishing. This is why they're so satisfying, and this is why they rot so quickly. The world of nutrition, the higher the electrical energy of a nutrient or food, the higher the vibration, the more valuable it is, and the more fragile it is. And this is why animal foods are so much more expensive than plant foods. They're fragile. They don't lend themselves to commodification. They're not commodities. They're not as easily made into commodities. Yes, they're commodities, but not as easily made into commodities as grains and vegetables, which are more stable. Now, vegetables are fragile as well, but they're nowhere near as delicate and as perishable as animal products. So as we go up the food chain, rocks turn into vegetables, which then turn into animal foods, and we get higher and denser electrical energy and higher vibration. Animal products, theoretically anyway, are the most nutritionally valuable of all foods. I say theoretically because we've contaminated the way we process our animal foods so significantly that we lose value. They lose value, unfortunately. But theoretically, the most nutritionally valuable of all foods are your animal foods. And vegetarians are going to be missing out on a lot of nutritional value by avoiding them. If you're philosophically a vegetarian, well, I can't argue with that. But as far as health goes and as far as food benefit goes, don't let any vegetarian tell you that animal foods are not healthy. They are very, very healthy. Not to diminish the power of veggies, which in my opinion should make up most of what we eat, but it's tragic to not eat the egg or dairy or even meats, and seafood certainly. As toxic as we made our oceans, by the way. All right, I want to say, tomorrow I'll say a couple things about how to really leverage the power of your vegetables, especially if you're going ketogenic, and then we will continue talking about the ketogenic diet. We'll finish up talking about the ketogenic diet, get some practical aspects of it. Okay, 844-236-6010 is our number. On the bright side, Andre in California. What's going on? Welcome.
Hey, good morning, Ben. How are you?
Good morning, my friend. What's going on today?
I talked to you about a month ago about the thyroid problem and Graves' disease on my eyes, and now my eye doctor wants me to do an MRI to figure out what's going on behind the eyeball.
Okay.
Well, now, pushing. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, MRI is not MRIs are amazing, first of all. The science behind the MRI involves basically nuclear physics, quantum physics. It's just mind-blowing. I really don't even understand how it works, the MRI, but basically it works with the nucleus of water atoms and hydrogen atoms and water, and it's just an amazing device. But it's not very, you don't really have to worry about an MRI. There's no toxicity or side effects or danger associated with MRIs. But I'm more concerned about your Graves' disease. Did we talk about food with your Graves'?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about food, and you told me to try to avoid fruit and sugar.
Sugar?
I don't eat sugar. I just eat like maybe about 5 servings of fruit a day. Is that too much?
Wait. Just 5 servings of fruit a day? That's a tremendous amount of fruit. Are you serious? Did you say fruit or food?
Fruit.
That's a lot of fruit, my friend. What are you eating? What kind of fruit?
A couple of tangerine in the morning, some pineapples, grapes throughout the day.
Dude, you are pounding the fruit, my friend. You are pounding the fruit. I would back down significantly on that. Why not switch over to veggies? You probably like
a lot of veggies too.
Switch over to veggies. Have one piece of fruit. Switch over to veggies. How about the B vitamins? Are you using lots of B vitamins?
B vitamins. I do a multivitamin, but I want to get the
no, Andre.
90.
Here's the thing, Andre. I'm not going to beat you up on this because, we all get to live our lives. But you're interacting with the medical model unnecessarily. You could take care of this yourself. First of all, and I'm not only speaking to you, I'm speaking to other folks who have Graves' disease. The first and most important thing to recognize about Graves' disease is that it is an autoimmune disease. You've heard that term, I'm sure, right? Autoimmune disease?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
yes.
They told you it was they told you have an autoimmune disease. Here's the thing about autoimmune diseases like Graves'. You're more susceptible to other autoimmune diseases. The way an autoimmune disease works is, for some reason, the body looks at your thyroid, in your case, as being the enemy. And this usually has to do with the foods you're eating. Not necessarily the sugar, which is really hyping up the thyroid and really messing up your metabolism, but really, more importantly, some food that you don't agree with. In other words, a food intolerance or a food allergy. Autoimmune diseases are linked to something called leaky gut syndrome. And leaky gut syndrome is when food particles get into the blood. The digestive process is so amazing. If we were to take a hamburger, or you were to take your tangerine, for example, Andre, and you were to inject that tangerine into your blood, peel it, of course, and just inject the pulp right into your blood, it would kill you. But somehow, through the digestive process, when we eat foods, the foods are made safe so they can get into the blood. However, if our digestive process isn't working completely, if we're not digesting our food completely, then food particles can leak into the blood undigested. And this is where autoimmunity comes in. Hang on, Andre. We got to take a break. We'll finish up when we come back. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. We're talking to Andre in California about Graves' disease and MRIs, I guess. I hope I'm not giving you too much information here, Andre, but a lot of people are dealing with Graves' disease. It's a big problem. It's a thyroid disease in general is a big issue. Mostly hypo, but hyperthyroidism, it's got to be miserable. I can only imagine. Graves' disease is when your thyroid goes crazy and your blood pressure goes up and you sweat, and you got oily skin and you're all jittery and insomnia and anxiety. Does it sound right, Andre? Am I describing that correctly?
Yeah, but I don't get too much of those symptoms. My main symptoms is I see double.
Oh, you see double. Okay. All right. That can happen. Yeah, eye problems definitely can happen. Sometimes people's eyes will bulge. Do you have the bulging thing with the eyes? Do your eyes go?
Not too much bulging, but it seems like my eyes is going in more inner, like inside, towards my nose.
I see. Okay. Well, yeah, all that is associated with Graves', which is an autoimmune disease. And before we went to break, I was telling you about the digestive system. If you were to take a hamburger and grind it up and mush it up and put it in an IV and inject it into your blood, it would kill you. But somehow we can eat that hamburger, and it does go into our blood ultimately, and we're fine. Why is that? Well, the digestive process breaks up the food into tiny little particles, super tiny little particles, and then those tiny little particles get into the blood, and we're fine. However, if the digestive system is not working correctly, and the food is not getting crushed up into the little particles, and bigger particles are leaking into the blood, that's where we run into problems. This activates an immune response in the blood at first. Ultimately, as those particles deposit in various parts of the body, body. It will activate an immune response against the organs and various systems of the body. You can have and by the way, I did a video on autoimmune diseases up at criticalhealthnews.com if anybody's interested in checking that out. So in your case, the particles are landing in your thyroid, and now your body's attacking the thyroid because it looks different. It looks like the enemy, if you will. So you got to focus on foods. That means all the things we talk about, the elimination diet. I'd be fasting if I could. The 5 fruits a day definitely is not a good idea. Make sure you're using digestive enzymes with all your meals and the good bacteria as well, the probiotics. If you want to reduce your symptoms